everyone. This is a special edition of Breaking Down Barriers podcast. We are flipping the script today and bringing in our very special CEO and founder, David Ponraj, because we are celebrating 6 years. 6 years of all of the hard work and determination that you have put into Economic Impact Catalyst. So, David, you're on the other side of the mic today. Welcome.
Yes, I have done like 60 of these podcasts on the other side, so I guess I'm getting a taste of my own medicine.
Yes, you are. It's going to be great. So happy that you all could join us today. David, your entrepreneurial story is special. It's unique, like every other entrepreneurial story out there. It's a story of determination, grit, and passion. Let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. So 6 years ago, in May of 2018, I decided that I was going to quit Nielsen and start a venture. Now, one of the reasons I'm going to share a little bit of details around this is to help any business owner that's listening and around what it takes to start a business. But I wrote down ideas for about 14 months on what type of business did I want to start.
How many ideas did you actually have?
I had a lot of ideas. And I tell people all the time, one of the secrets to having a great idea is to write down every idea you get, right? And the idea that came to the forefront was a previous business I had when I first came to the US. And that actually takes me back to when I was a child in India growing up. I used to go to a local hospital in a very, very small rural part of India. It's at the very tip of India, of the Indian Peninsula. And when I would frequently play sports and break a bone or I have a fracture, which I was very prone to because of, I loved playing sports, the doctor or the nurse would wheel me into the x-ray room. And I cannot forget for my whole life the sign that was on the x-ray machine. It said, paid with love by the people of the United States. And it was USAID, so USAID in block, and paid for love with the people of the United States. And that is, for me, a clear image of the promise of the American dream.
Sure.
Right? Because for this kid in rural India to be able to actually be a part of the experience where an American, through taxpayer dollars, is funding work and real care in another part of the world is, startling, because you don't see that from other countries. So for me, America was the promised land, right? The land of milk and honey. And so when I came to the US, I said, well, I'm finally where you can do anything, and by pure grit, determination, ingenuity, and some hustle, you can make it. The first business was a brick that fell on my head that actually woke me to the reality that it's not always that, right? And so I wanted to start this business, and this business, while it has helped thousands of business owners and it's helped a lot of our clients achieve their objectives, more importantly, it's kind of taught me what the American dream is truly about. And 6 years in, I feel rejuvenated and energized with the clarity of purpose that early on you're so focused on trying to make the idea work, right? I feel like we finally have a platform where we can actually help address what's wrong with the promise of the American dream.
So interesting. So tell us, what do you see as the promise of the American dream? And do you believe in that promise?
Yeah. So the promise is that for especially immigrants, people of color, returning citizens, women, and other minorities, people that don't start at the same starting point as most Americans, for them, the journey of the American dream is very different than what we think it is. For them, hard work and determination and grit probably only takes them 50%.
Sure.
The other 50% is who you know, what connections you have, where did you start in America, what does the color of your skin look like,
What zip code were you born in?
what zip code were you born in, right? And so for most people, they've won half the lottery. Being in the United States is half the lottery, right? But it's also a false promise because the other half is not guaranteed. Because when you start, like I did with my first business, it hits you that it is not a straight path. None of the things you're born with are the things that you can do truly actually change the outcome. And for those that it does, that we celebrate, a lot of it is through luck and good fortune, right? Even in this business, 3 years in, we were working with several state governments. A lot of our checks had logos of the states that we were working with. And yet, every bank and every lender I turned to, it was a hard no. Even Bank of America that I'd banked with for 17 years, and we've given hundreds of thousands of dollars, right, to them. Even it was a hard no. It wasn't even let's look at it. They were like, yep, small business, nope, you don't qualify. And interestingly, and in very good fortune, actually one of our clients connected me with a banker, and it was the connection where the client said, I know him, was the door that unlocked it. Because my credit score had not changed, the amount of equity had not changed, the business fundamentals had not changed, but it was a text that was sent saying, I know him, he's good, was the key that gave me $350,000 that in prior tries I didn't. And that I think is not fair, because while I got extremely lucky, most people do not have that person who can send a text message and get that, right? And that is that false promise that you think you can start and you can make it, and most times 50% of all businesses fail because of that. Because it's not that they didn't have a great idea, it's not that they didn't hustle, it's not that they didn't work hard. They did all the same things, but didn't get the outcome they were promised.
Right. That's right. Well, and we talk all of the time. I mean, our platform is based on this idea of access to capital, right? Finding the right resources, getting yourself embedded in the network, into that entrepreneurial ecosystem, whatever community that is in, right? And part of that then is getting someone to advocate with you, right? Hand in hand, getting someone to advocate for you so that you can get to that point where when it's time for growth, right? It's time for those dollars to be able to come in, those ready capital dollars, capital readiness dollars, that you can go and you can expand and you can create jobs in your community. And so that is like what we're based on. So knowing that that's been a part of your entrepreneurial journey too, hopefully brings a little peace of mind to all the entrepreneurs out there too. But also this understanding that it does take more than determination, grit, will, right? You have to have the support system around you. That is absolutely crucial. We're walking into year 6. You have made it past the dreaded 5-year mark that all entrepreneurial ecosystems talk about. What does that feel like right now?
Yeah, and I think that's such a great question, because the success lies in finding people that share that vision and that shared goal and sense of purpose. What in the US we call as employer firms. 70% of all businesses in the US are non-employer firms. The reason that number is a stark number is because outside a couple of very small industries, a non-employer firm cannot create wealth. It can only create income. This idea that we talk a lot about, which is you don't work in your business, you work on your business. Well, if you're the only person working, you're doing both.
Yes.
Or you're going under,
Yes.
right? When do you work on your business? When you have a couple other people that are working with you, right?
Correct.
You're not working on your business otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So thinking of that, if you want to succeed and create meaningful wealth outside a couple small industries like, financial services, etc. Most people, even doctors' offices, etc., need a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, I got extremely lucky. I found somebody who lived and worked in the rural Midwest
Yeah.
that also believed in a vision like this. Right? Mackenzie came to work for us 6 years ago, and this dream is
Your first employee.
first employee, as much her dream as mine.
Yeah.
The ability to, and I think she brought this unique perspective, and a famous quote that Mackenzie told me that I always remember is, if you don't milk the cows don't get milked, right? That is the quintessential Midwestern philosophy, right? I'm going to do what it takes. And she grew up in an entrepreneurial family with her parents as small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So she uniquely understood what we were solving for.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, we built by finding people that shared that value.
Mm-hmm.
Right, today we have employees in India, in the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been able to seek out and find people that are looking for an honest exchange of value. People that say, if I come and if I build my career here, this company will take care of me. For a small business owner, it's very hard to provide the healthcare benefits and the 401k, right? That's like, for every 2 people you hire, you're hiring a third, because
Yeah.
that's the cost of
Yes.
that, right? We do that because we want that honest exchange of values. And our employees want inspiration. They want to find work that's meaningful. And our employees want to make sure that we are giving them the tools to succeed and grow, right? So it has to be meaningful work, it has to be an honest exchange of values, and they want a place that is free of politics and creates a great environment for them to succeed and grow. And so that's been the secret to our success, is to find great talented people and have that fair exchange of values, so they know that they're coming to work for an honest broker, right? And that's really important, because I was thinking about what is different between all these different age groups that work for us, right? We have people across 3 different generations,
right? Yeah.
And really not much is different. There's a little bit around flexibility and how they want to show up and where they want to show up, but I don't think that fair exchange of value has changed, right? Maybe we need to change how we communicate value, but the idea that I want to be able to do honest and good work, and I want an employer that frees me up to do good work, and if I do good work, that work is going to make a difference in this world, I don't think that's changed fundamentally, right? And so that's been probably the most exciting and most challenging and most growth-oriented part of this journey, is how do you build and retain a team? Because when you do that well, a lot of other things kind of fall into place.
Right. And I think you've done a great job at finding also mission-driven
Yeah.
folks, right, to bring around the table. We're going to see exponential growth here in the next year, right? Over the next couple of years, really.
Yep.
So, and we're also in the process of hiring some key roles and some key people and all of that kind of stuff. What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, and that's such a great question, because as we think about what does impact look like, right? It's truly global,
Right.
right? You don't create impact only in Clearwater, Florida anymore, right? Having employees in other parts of the world has helped us. But the question, the way to answer that question, I think, is to think about what is this engine for this growth. And the engine for the growth is our clients, right? And the value we bring to our clients. So we brought this unique value to our employees around fair exchange. For our clients, it starts with empathy,
Right.
and it does not start with technology, and it doesn't start with innovation. It starts with empathy, because here are a unique group of individuals that every single day are working to take down those barriers to make that a real promise, right? Are working every single day with this singular focus of how can we give more people this American promise, right? By removing these barriers. So our journey and our relationship with our clients first starts with empathy, right? So we understand that above all, we want to be mission aligned with people that are doing incredibly hard work. So, and we hire employees that share that empathy and deep sense of responsibility for the work our clients are doing. But beyond that, our clients are looking at us to be useful, and that's actually a core value of our company. Right? One of our clients used to call me Johnny on the spot when I first started. I love that name more than any other name. Right? We want to be Johnny on the spot. You need me to, print some paper for you today? Yeah, I have empathy for your work. If I need to be on the streets selling on your behalf or going and joining a stakeholder call to advocate for your work, I want to do that because our clients want us to be useful. Now, how do you do that at scale? You do that by driving and bringing innovation, right? And that's where the other piece comes in. Our technology has to be a force multiplier for good. Right. It has to be revolutionary without creating a revolution. Right? We don't want to break things, but we want to be revolutionary. We want to think about what innovation can accelerate the journey to getting more Americans that promise. And how do we be co-pilots with this incredible group of people we call economic developers, to work alongside them to be able to bring the best-in-class tools that can be force multipliers for good, right? Bringing in innovation that helps them bridge that gap for capital, right? How do you bring innovative solutions that help entrepreneurs find capital by democratizing access, right? Because not everybody can send a text message and create that connection. Yep. But how can technology be that multiplier? How can technology be that democratizing force for access to capital and resources, right? So our clients are depending on us and counting on us to be out there every single day, being revolutionary around ideas that can bring resources closer to entrepreneurs to where they're starting, right? And they've entrusted us. So I tell our team all the time, we might not be the right solution. We might even sometimes be a hindrance. If we're a hindrance, let's get out of the way as fast as we can and then bring the right resources, because ultimately it's that trust, right? And that's what we are stewards of as a company.
Let's talk a little bit about best in class technology, right? And what our platform has the potential to look like for these amazing economic developers who frankly don't have time to be messing around in any kind of technology platform, right? They need to be hit, whether that means hitting the streets or that means working hand in hand with these small business owners. What are we doing to make their jobs easier?
I think that's a phenomenal question, and that's what I lose sleep most over, right? What does innovation look like? I'll tell you, this is my prediction, if you will, that technology by itself and the way we provide services today is past its due date. Today's exchange of information, it's transactional, right? Like, if I want to create a business plan, I should not be talking to an SBDC advisor, and that can't be a revolutionary statement in this day and age, right? That's, I think it's a pretty run-of-the-mill kind of a statement, right? Because I can go to ChatGPT and ask it, and it will give me a pretty kick-ass plan, right? You could write a book on ChatGPT. And we have written some books on ChatGPT as a company, right? Around business plans and stuff like that. So the question of what can technology do is to create experiences. It's an experiential game we're getting into. It's no longer an informational game, right? For a business owner that is trying to start a business, you cannot give them, hey, these are the next 5 things you need to think about. Every good business owner has already ChatGPT'd every part of that before they came to you, right? Because of their hustle nature, right? Nobody will learn faster than a business owner, guaranteed.
Right.
But the business owner still needs access. The business owner still needs the connection, right? So if I am out there helping business owners today, I need technology and tools that curate experiences for my customers, being the small business owners. And how do you do that in a world that is on the brink of artificial intelligence, right? Both the good and the bad of it. But how do you create a world where if you don't figure it out, it's going to make the playing field even more uneven, right? The rich richer, the poor poorer, right? And so how do you use technology to not just be a force multiplier, but I was very specific in saying that force multiplier for good, right? How do you bring in AI to create experiential learning, experiential engagements? How do you give the tools to the SBDC advisors to say, the things you should know, I've already sent it to you. I've already curated a set of questions you need to put into chat to get the outcomes you need, right? But I'm going to spend the day walking through what the experience of starting a business is going to be like. I'm going to bring a group of you together to share your experiences. I'm going to bring in a couple people to actually help you apply for your first line of credit. I'm going to bring in somebody who's going to actually help you file your first patent. That is where it's at. And how do you give the tools to your consultants and people in your community that can allow them to create this at scale, right? So we're thinking about innovative tools where a business owner can go and be able to get the first 5 steps of starting a business without having to get permission, right? How can you have the system work on your behalf? And that's hard work, right? That's cutting edge. That's thinking about getting technology to be near to where the business owner is starting and then being an aid, but then bringing the consultant to then bring the experience to the business owner, right? And those are the kinds of solutions we're thinking about. And we're not thinking American anymore. We're thinking global, right? As an immigrant, I am starkly reminded of the inequities of America are not uniquely American, right? America doesn't have a monopoly on inequities. It's global, right? What we call race here is caste in India, right? You have the same challenges around the world. So how can you take what we've learned here and accelerate that journey for people around the world? That, when Africa came online, they didn't start with a computer, they started with a phone. They didn't start with a credit card, they were already exchanging money through text messages, right? We can skip a few generations of technology to meet the business owners around the world at the next level. And those are all really exciting things, right? For a small company that started right here in Clearwater, Florida, to be able to thinking about changing the world, right? I think it's really exciting. But it goes back to finding the right people, right? Finding those mission-aligned clients, investing in innovation, right? And I'm going to talk about the last thing before we wrap up, but there's something that drives this whole story.
Right. Well, and it's so interesting because I actually heard today a really interesting quote about, data is so important, right? And we talk so often about the data-driven results, but data isn't powerful without the human story, right? That goes with it, that tells the story of, hey, we are fixing poverty. We are giving those entrepreneurial opportunities. We are, and here's how we're doing it. And let us tell you about, A, B, and C business owner, right? Who now have been able to hire this many employees and et cetera, right? That is such an important thing, the data, and we're very good about extrapolating the data, but we're even better, I think, at about telling the human story, right? So when you are, thinking about where we're moving to in the future, let's talk a little bit about these small business owners, right? Whether they are located, down the street from us or are located on the other side of the globe. Right? What is the power of their story, and how do you see us being a small part of that journey with them?
Yeah, and I think that's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, that's why we exist, is the small business owner. And you talked about data. I love this quote, in God we trust, all others bring data, right? So at the end of the day, if you don't have data, we can't start the conversation, right? But it is still just the start of the conversation.
Right.
We as a society suffer from a significant lack of inspiration and inspirational stories, right? For millennia, we learned through storytelling. If you look at the art on the caves, those were stories.
Correct.
And then we, in corporate America, somehow managed to mess that all up with PowerPoint presentations. right? Like what happened? What happened to a millennia of learning that we decided to start using PowerPoints, right? So I think we have a big lack of storytelling because that is what mobilizes people to act, right? You bring the data, they call it irrefutable evidence, right? You check that box, but that's not a call to action. That doesn't actually pull at the heartstrings, right? It's the stories of everyday entrepreneurs, people that have come here and invested their lives in building their American dream, putting their kids through college, helping people in their communities, investing back, right? That story is the story that needs to be told. And we are stewards of that storytelling. And I love you brought that up because we need to change that narrative. We need to be leading with stories.
Absolutely.
Right? We don't lead with data. We bring the data so you can't argue. Right? But then you tell the story to actually act, to get people to actually mobilize and act. And it's the small business owner that's the inspiration behind everything we are doing today, right? Because if we can help business owners start fast and start better and live the American dream to create wealth, now we're fundamentally changing outcomes, right? And I've seen studies where over the last 80 years, we haven't moved a step forward, we've moved a couple steps back around wealth creation. A black business owner has 3 days cash on hand. I mean, we know in a hurricane here, we have 7 days of lack of power, right? And it doesn't even hit us. It sits somewhere around us and we've lost power for 7 days. That means the business owner has gone out of business, right? We need to change that paradigm. We need to highlight stories of business owners and their struggles and their successes and say that they're all part of the same story, right? And how do we elevate these stories, bring them in front of people that drive policy and people that drive investments, and work alongside amazing clients. I mean, what's happening in California today with our clients to be able to reimagine through their scale network the work they're doing, or what's happening in Mississippi with data and the market research there, or in Iowa, or any other part of the country. I was in Birmingham and the celebration of black businesses through the Birmingham Business Alliance and their Network Navigator tool. Like those are the kinds of things that we need to elevate so people can see and learn, and bring it to Americans, but then bring it globally, right? Is to bring these stories of everyday entrepreneurs through their grit, determination brought them half the way, and then we, through our clients, help them get to that final destination, right? Is it through capital or resources or mentoring or hiring employees or finding that right workforce for their growth? Let's do that. Let's get the next 50% of the way figured out for these business owners.
Oh, I love that. That's so great. Okay. What are the greatest lessons you have learned over the last 6 years? Number one, walking into this whole field of economic development, but also as a small business owner.
For a small business owner, I think if there's a small business owner listening, they will agree that as a small business owner, I will use this word and we can edit it. It's a mind, right? It's for the whole journey is a pure mind, right?
Okay.
Because you celebrate the wins and then your losses, you think the world is crumbling on you. And do that 15 times a day.
Yeah.
For 10 years. What does that do to you, right? The biggest lesson I've learned is that mental health is a journey. It is not a destination. It's not like I will figure this out in 6 years, because in 6 years you're a wreck. Yeah. And I've been working backwards from being a wreck to like becoming sane again. And that has been the biggest lesson, that the journey you want to live is the journey you're on. It's not at a destination as a business owner. And that's hard. Right. Because you are using determination to say, I will make it to the next day. But then every day for the first 10 years is that day. That is not sustainable, right? So as a business owner, I will say that I did not realize, and I think it comes with maturity and it comes with growth, right? That's why people in their 40s are more successful than the 30s, and 50s more successful than the 40s, because it's those life lessons learned, right, and the battle scars that actually allow you to scale well. So that's been for me the single biggest lesson, is to pace yourself. Because if you don't pace yourself as a business owner, you are exhausted, and then you start making bad decisions. And you think of our kids when they're hangry. They're not themselves, right? And so we as business owners are not ourselves because we get hangry a lot during this journey. So we got to kind of play the long game, and I think that's been it's been that big revelation that I didn't have in my 20s, because maybe I didn't need that in my 20s.
Right.
You could go for 10 days and not sleep, but also you had no other capital, you had no social capital, nothing. You just were like, I created my own website, I made my own products, I sold everything, and that's not how you scale. So,
all right. Any other final words of wisdom?
Well, what's this? I'm going to flip the script and ask
Okay.
you, what has this journey been for you? Seeing us from a distance, what is, over the last 4 years, first on the outside, then on the inside, what does this journey look like for you?
Oh my gosh. I have loved absolutely watching you develop, grow, and scale this business. It has been so exciting for me to watch. First off, as a champion and a cheerleader, and one of the very first people to, purchase the platform, right, as an economic developer. So just watching you, I think, really be able to respond very quickly, and also just your confidence and whether you felt confident or not, it always came through.
I'll tell you about the secret. It's
that your
never
confidence has always shined about who you are, and what you believe is possible, as well as you have always stayed true to the mission. You were very clear from the start of what you believed the value proposition was, and every company that I've had a chance to work with and to work for, when the value proposition is very clear and the mission is very clear, it's almost like this no holds bar, right? And now getting to be a part of the inside is it's like a dream come true for me, because it's the exact field that I want to be in, but doing it with the people that I want to be doing it with. So I just feel honored every day and humbled to be here. So it's very exciting.
That's
what
fantastic.
We've got going.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for joining me in telling our story.
Yes, it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you all for being here with us today, and happy anniversary.
Yes,
to
yes, to all
Economic
of us.
Impact Catalyst.
That's right.